Hi everyone, I'm Mr. Vey and this is my second edition lockdown hairstyle. Today I want to talk to you about this budget Neewer slider. This slider is going to be useful to you if you're interested in doing trucking shots, push-in shots and pull-out shots. Don't worry if you're not familiar with those terms because I'm going to give you a few examples later. Now if you're ready, I'll see you after the B-roll. So let's take a quick look at what you get with the slider. As you can see, it comes with this handy carry case, which is nice if you intend to travel with it, or if like me, you live in a place where space is an absolute premium and you need to pack away your studio gear after you use it. You also get a phone mount, which is good for small to medium phones like the Huawei P20 Pro or the iPhone XR. It's unlikely to take anything like the massive Samsung Galaxy Note series. It comes with a couple of Allen keys and an adapter screw, so it should be compatible with most of your stands and tripods. It's missing one very essential item though, which is a tripod head, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. This slider is quite sturdy. It's not beautifully cut as there are bumps and nicks on the frame, and the finish isn't spectacular, as out of the box it was oily around the central screw. The carbon poles are smooth and well made. Most of it is constructed of metal apart from the rubber feet, and the wheels here might be made of plastic. You can have this slider sitting on a table, on the floor, or you can mount it to a tripod and even a light stand if you have one of those lying around. There are mounting holes on the bottom for your horizontal sliding shots and on the side for your vertical sliding shots. The central knob here will tighten and loosen the action so you can glide it in either direction. When you reach the end of the slider, the rubber bumpers here will soften the impact from the edge. So I mentioned earlier that this slider is useful for several different shots, and here are some examples. Now after seeing those shots, you're probably thinking, well, that's 1.5 seconds of footage, what use is that going to be to me? And that's a fair criticism. But watch these shots again, now at half speed. When shooting B-roll, which is the additional footage that you add to your main shot, and in our example here, it's these product shots that you're watching now, it's best to shoot at double your frame rate. So let's say your talking head sections are 25 frames per second. You should shoot your B-roll in 50 frames per second. This is so that you can slow the footage down to 50%. Not only will this add some stability to the movement of the shot, but it also give it a sense of grandeur. And in this case, it will add some length. So yes, the slider doesn't have a long distance when it comes to the action of the sliding, but you can get around this with editing. And a small section of movement is all you need in most cases. So we've talked about the limitations of this slider when it comes to the travel distance, but there are a few other issues that you have to consider. So the obvious one is that you're going to be controlling this slider manually with your hand. And if you don't plan on editing it to slow the footage down, you're going to need some faith and skill to keep your action steady. If you need something more high-tech than this, look into a motorized slider, but be prepared to fork out a premium for those. It doesn't come with a tripod head, so it's very likely that your camera would just be hanging off the mounting screw. But an even bigger issue with not having a tripod head is that the camera simply won't be sitting high enough to clear the slider, so you're going to be seeing the slider in your shot. So expect to pay an additional £20 on top of the price of this slider. I do think it's worth the investment to get a proper tripod head because This will allow your camera to mount onto the slider properly, and it will give you some versatility, height and angles when you're using a slider. So who is the slider for? Well, it's definitely for people on a budget, but don't forget that you will have to get a tripod head in addition to this, and that's going to take the total cost to around £70. It's also for people who only need a small amount of movement in their shots, so maybe if you're shooting a product B-roll, it'll be useful for you. Or you can do outdoor shots as well, but you're going to have to be quite creative with how you edit the footage. Finally, this is good for people who don't have a lot of space for their production gear, because it comes with a nice carry bag and you can just put everything away and keep your living areas tidy. Hope you enjoyed this video or found it useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this, or if you're interested in seeing what my hairstyle looks like in a few months. Bye.